Damn near choking. Sorry, y'all. What's up, y'all? It's your girl Chanel from Complex to Simplicity. Happy Memorial Day. Hope that you had an amazing weekend. I know the weather in the New York area was very questionable, a little chilly, but hopefully you still were able to make the best of it. And your girl's back. It's about that time of the week for me to share my perspective on a particular topic. And the topic of today is pretty much, it's okay, y'all, if we're a group of friends, if we're in a relationship, in a marriage, if we're, I don't know, coworkers, if we're in some level of an environment where we have to see one another daily and coexist. It is so okay, in my mind, my perspective, for us to not have to always have the same perspective, or to think along the same lines with everything. I find that as I am in different social groups, whether people who are in my inner circle, people who are outside of my inner circle, people who are just a part of my everyday life in some way, I tend to feel that even though we're like in our 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, there still is like this low-key underlying thread of like where it's like we feel like we have to be in agreement with everything, and I don't think that's the case. I think that one, God made us to be different. He made us to not only look different, but to have different personalities, to have went through or gone through different experiences in life, and to have our own minds and different perspectives and trends of thoughts for specific reasons, right? That makes the world more interesting. I think that helps to make your circle more diverse, not just culturally, but just diverse in our level of thinking. I'm so not about that whole group think. Now, don't get me wrong. I am a woman who is very firm in my perspectives, my thoughts, how I see the world, my opinions. However, my goal, even with this website, my goal is not necessarily to force or try to make anyone see things the way that I see them. My goal ultimately is to be able to share my perspective, with the hopes that it can be helpful or help someone see something and say, I didn't quite think about that in that way. That doesn't necessarily mean that the expectation is that now you're going to adopt Chanel Casimir's way of seeing the world, way of thinking. You know what I'm saying? What I also will say is, as far as people in my family and my inner circle, yes, there do need to be some core values that I feel we share the same sentiments on. Like, I'm married, right? So I would like to think that loyalty, respect, there's certain things that my husband and I need to or should have the same take on in order for our marriage to work, right? In certain friendships, there should be a certain shared or agreed thought as far as our boundaries with one another and how we should be respectful and loyal to one another. Those things, absolutely. But my take on certain topics does not necessarily mean that because we're married or because we're friends or because you're my parents or you're my sibling, that we have to share the same perspective and opinion. It's okay to agree to disagree. I'm talking on a minuscule level of thing or topics of life onto major topics of life. For instance, sometimes I still see with adults, when it comes to sports, if my team, I'm going for a particular team and my friend's going for another team and we're together watching a game, I see that, sometimes grown folks will really like be annoyed and frustrated because you're not buying into why my team is better than your team or why I feel like this is the team that's going to win. Or even when it comes to music. I'm a music lover. Y'all know that by now. And, there are a lot of people in my world who share the same passion for music. And it's okay that we have different tastes in music. We do not have to agree about every musical artist. You may like an artist that I don't care for. That's okay. We do not have to be in cahoots about everything. You know what I'm saying? We can have a different perspective. It's okay for me to maybe feel like this particular artist, maybe I don't feel like Whitney was the greatest singer. Maybe I feel that Mariah Carey was the greatest singer, right? Not that I feel this way, but I'm just using it as an example because I see how grown folks will really spend time debating and trying to win one another over about why you need to come on over to my side with what I think or who I think is the greatest athlete of all time, or who's the greatest singer of all time, or greatest entertainer of all time, or why I think that this way of life is better. Like, we don't need to debate about that, you share, I share, we keep it pushing, I was out with girlfriends last night celebrating one of my girls' birthdays, and we were able, in the midst of brunching and dancing and toasting it up with champagne, we were able to have real conversation, which is something I enjoy doing. I feel like when we're women in our 30s and above, it's important for us to be able to have real talk and meaningful talk, to dig deeper. Not just to stay on the surface level with things, because we all go through real life shit, right? So for me, if that opportunity comes, where we can talk deep and get real and be honest with one another, I think that those are the priceless parts or aspects of friendships and relationships, not just us debating and talking about trivial things. And so, we were able to have one of those kind of real moments, which I appreciated, and it's okay if, we all didn't agree with regards to our thoughts on marriage and dating and relationships and the dating process and how one kind of figures out what type of suitor would be not just what you want, but what you need, right? To not just meet your wants, but to meet your needs. And it's okay that we don't agree, so to speak. I will always come from a place of a loving friend, and I will always be honest and share my piece, when the moment presents itself. And it's okay. You take it for what it is, right? I don't feel like I need you to buy into what I'm saying. It's like, I say this out of love, and maybe something to think about. You don't have to buy into it. It's your choice. But if you find that nothing has changed 6 months from now, a year from now, then maybe this conversation that we had, maybe will ring bells, and maybe it'll be a perspective that you consider in some way, if that's what you want to do. No pressure. I've seen groups of friends like debate and argue each other down because it's like, you have to get on my side about what I feel and what I think. And I feel like that's not necessary. We're too grown for all of that. You know what I'm saying? You can be real with me as well. I'm cool with being on the receiving end. You can be real with me and suggest. I have friends that suggest all kinds of things to me with different ideas or thoughts of how they feel, things I can do that they feel would help this whole Complex Simplicity brand, and I hear them out and I give my perspective, and if I feel that it's something that could be beneficial, then I'll take it for what it is. And if I feel like, nah, I know you're coming from a place of love, but I don't agree, I just won't take the advice, but there's no need to debate about it, no need for us to argue each other down about it. It's cool, and so I just feel like, even when I watch reality shows, I just got finished watching Basketball Wives, sometimes I feel like this groupthink thing, it still happens with grown folks, and it's crazy. And it brings me to the next point that I would like to kind of elaborate on, which is the womanhood. And I've probably talked about this before, but women, we have got to do better, right? Even if we're not friends like that, there just should be a certain level that we just don't go, right? Certain boundaries where we know, let me not even take it there. It's unnecessary for me to take it there. I don't care that we're friends, that we're not friends, that you may not be my favorite person, I may not be your favorite person in life. We should all go by the universal code of boundaries, especially us women of color. I'm just so sick and tired of seeing the constant tearing each other down, and it's just ridiculous at this point, and the sad thing is, these women, everybody's trying to keep their job, or everybody's trying to have their fair share of drama or whatever, not realizing the messages that you're continuing to perpetuate and continuing to disseminate to young girls growing up, teenagers, young ladies in college, young ladies that are on that cusp of teenagehood and adulthood. We've got to do better, y'all. Come on, just have a universal boundary line where you just don't go. How about we as grown women start showing and demonstrating how to regulate our own emotions? Because it's like cursing everyone out and fussing and fighting and wanting to like throw drinks and jump over tables and attack one another physically. That's not the way to resolve any kind of conflict. If anything, that's the way to make things worse. That's the way to invite lawsuits into your life. That's the way to lose out on potential business opportunities because you're showing you don't know how to control yourself. And so I just really wish on all of these reality TV shows that the women particularly would think before they react. How about be more responsive than reactive? Like it's crazy. It's so crazy. So for me, it's just like, when are we going to finally like stand for something positive out here, and it doesn't, and for me, when I see a lot of these reality stars, like the Evelyn Lozadas and even the Shawnee O'Neals, I used to have a lot of respect for Shawnee, but I feel like, her even being behind this show just, if you understand what that means. Jen is back, Jennifer. It's crazy. The only one that I probably really genuinely like on the show is Tammy Roman, and I can rock with Malaysia. And some may say Tammy used to be off the hook ratchet, right? Yes, in the beginning of Basketball Wives, but I feel like there has been some level of growth that we have seen with Tammy, and now it's clear that she's about her business and she's about her family. She got the Bonnet Chronicles. She just inked some kind of deal with Tidal where they show, or she does episodes of Bonnet Chronicles with them. She's also always on the road doing her little Bonnet Chronicles stand-up show. So she knows that she has more to lose. And I was so glad to see that she actually, you can tell that she has learned or figured out how to control her responses, With Evelyn, I feel like it doesn't matter that she did the Iyanla Vanzant show, the Iyanla Fix My Life situation a couple of years ago. At the core of who you are, she's still, in my perspective, the Evelyn that was introduced to the world a couple of years ago. Just like this mean girl mentality that she naturally has, and that in some ways I feel Shawnee and Jen kind of are a part of at times. Maybe Shawnee not as much. She's supposed to be the neutral party, but she'll laugh and she'll, you know what I'm saying, kind of like not always stand up for what's right, like in the moment, the way I think she should at times. I feel like that mean girl thing, when it continues to be something that's a part of groups of women, and they're grown women with their own children, their own grandchildren potentially, like, to me, that's real whack. And that's my issue with Evelyn. As much as she does have parts of her personality that are funny and fun-loving, and she's a gorgeous woman, I feel like, for whatever reasons, at the core, maybe she's not that happy with herself or with her life, because there's no reason to constantly always tear someone down or talk about someone and have something to say that's critical about the next woman 90% of the time. Like, come on. So I don't care what charities these women stand for or get behind. When you're constantly showing your behavior year after year after year and not much is changing, who you are is who you are at the core. You know what I'm saying? And so women, I say again, we've got to do better. Nobody's saying you have to be the best of friends and like everybody. I'd be lying if I said I like everybody that I work with. I don't. A lot of people I work with would, if I had my choice, they wouldn't be a part of my life in any way. However, there is a way to work with people, to be professional, and to always still have that respectful boundary, regardless of whatever my personal feelings are towards you and vice versa, And so that's my issue, At some point, we've just got to do better. As women, we've got to do better. You know, I live for when I'm able to spend time with my friends, or even just be around people, women that I may not be that familiar with, but they seem like a breath of fresh air. Like, I love that because I feel like there's not enough of that in real lifetime, right? Everybody talks a big game about women empowerment, and all of us vloggers, a lot of times on our social medias, you know, we're putting up provoking and encouraging quotes about women empowerment. And, you know, for some of us, that's what we talk about often. But how many of us are really actually working to empower? Not to toot my own horn, but I can honestly say in my day-to-day life, whether it's people I work with, whether it's people I'm friends with, whether it's people I'm in family ships with, my goal is to always encourage and empower us all, especially the women, you know? And so for me, I take that part seriously. You know, I feel like that is a big role that I play within my friendships with women. You know, I'm here to support my friends, as I always talk about. I'm here to empower, to encourage, to lovingly push my friends to be their great selves, right? The same way I expect and would want for them to encourage, empower, and push me to be my great self. Like, no time for jealousy, no time for envy, no time for the craziness. Let's push each other to live up to our fullest potential. You know what I'm saying? And let's continue to build with one another and to build one another up. You know, no competition here. Let's wholeheartedly wish each other well, and you know what I'm saying? Be here to be that sister, you know what I'm saying? That girlfriend, that we can be to one another. You know what I'm saying? I just don't get it. I really, really don't get it. And so that'll be one of the things that I continue to really try to plug away at, and to that'll always be an integral piece of Complex Simplicity, of really building each other up and working together. And once again, as I always say, realizing that we can accomplish way more together than we can apart, you know? So those are just a few thoughts that I had tonight. This may be a very short vlog. But yeah, you know, let me know what your thoughts and what your comments are. Like, do you agree with me as far as it being okay for us to not always have to be in agreement with everything in life? We don't. I don't even think that that's normal for people to constantly be in agreement with everything with one another all the time. Like, we can agree to disagree, it's fine. We can have different perspectives, it's fine. We do not all have to feel and feel the same things, you know? I'm always here to give advice to my loved ones and to give support and love, but it's okay if you don't want to take my advice. Like, it's your choice. I'm going to be able to sleep at night. Just know that. Because I feel like, as your friend, as your wife, as your daughter, as your sibling, you know, as your auntie, whatever, I did my part as far as being honest and being real, and sharing my perspective and advice and opinion regarding major things with my loved ones. Whether you take it or not, that's on you. But I can sleep at night knowing that I didn't just sit by and think that, you know, my girl was making a bad decision in life. I didn't just sit by and let her. I actually said something to her, and it's her choice. I said something to my husband about this issue. It's ultimately his choice, whether he takes my advice or he doesn't. But I'll be able to sleep at night because I know that I was honest and I was willing to have the difficult conversation, so to speak, you know? And I always try to do these things wrapped in love, wrapped in authenticity, sincerity. And so, you know, it's okay, y'all. We do not all have to agree, about everything in life. No one ever will. And let's stop trying to argue and debate each other down to bring that person over to our side of thinking. You know what I'm saying? We all see the world differently. One, I believe, because of how we grew up. We all did not grow up the same way. We didn't grow up with the same parents, right? You know, we didn't grow up under the same conditions or situations. And so how we see the world is going to be different than how this person sees the world. That's just what it is. And so our perspectives are going to be different with a lot of things in life. And it's no point in me trying to get all upset and frustrated because you don't want to adopt my perspective, you know? It's up to you. And as I always say, I'm kind of doing okay in life. So, and I hate to sound smug like that, but it's like, you can take my advice or you cannot take my advice. It's up to you. Either way, Chanel's going to still continue to push and work hard to progress and to grow and to be okay in life, you know? Emotionally, to be okay in life, mentally, physically, to be okay in life, hopefully financially. Like, so you can take my advice, you cannot take my advice. No hard feelings, no sleep lost, no love lost, right? You know, you do you, I do me, and we still be friends, we still be family, we still be married. Like, it is what it is, you know? So yes, you know, that's pretty much all I have to say for today. Continue to rock out with your girl by going to complexsimplicity.com. Please have a great work week and just week in general. And until next time.